houseboat in Copenhagen. I'm trying to convert an old bunker tanker into a nice houseboat. And today I would like to show you around my boat called Omala. And if people like these videos, I might make some more. I will show you around. So this is how I found Omala together with my girlfriend in 2018. She was standing in Klintholm, which is a small harbour in Sjælland on Denmark. And she had been standing there for like 5 or 6 years because the slipway that was next to her was demolished and sold. So there was no way of getting her back into the water, and the previous owner had debts and therefore kind of abandoned her. I think this is when she was being built in 1967 in Ærø, or Søbyværft in Ærø, which is also another tiny island in Denmark. Some of the original drawings. She's 12 meters long, 4 meters wide, has a draft of about 2 meters. And when I bought her, so without all the steelwork on top, she weighed about 26 tons, which is rather heavy. The bottom plating is 25 millimeters, and the sides are 8, I think, and the front is even thicker. I've done a hull survey myself, and I found the thinnest was around 6 millimeters, which was in the front tank, because that was used for storing water without having anodes in there, so there was some pitting. But overall, the hull is actually in really good condition, even though she looks a bit bad actually. So the plan is to make her look like a tugboat. So to make a nice new bulwark on top and a big main room. Like, this is not totally how it's gonna be, but it's roughly how it looks like. And then the small steering house, which will be a little bit less tall and long as this one is. And then it's gonna have a big chimney on the back, which is one of the first things that I made. I don't know why, but it's standing right over here. Because I want her to look like an old steamboat. So she's gonna have a big chimney, which is made in thin steel, so it's not too heavy. And there's gonna be a hinge and a hydraulic ram. So if I need to go under a bridge, which are 5.40 meters in Copenhagen, then I can actually tip her backwards onto the roof, and then I will fit under the bridge. And in the front it will have, of course, a big brass horn that I have of an old ferry. It's gonna sit right over there. And this is the aft section of her. She has a nice round shape. So here we are on the front deck of my boat, and I've made quite some changes to it. Originally it was quite a bit lower, the deck, about 40 centimeters, and it was quite in bad shape. It was about 3 to 4 millimeters left of the original 6. Would have been good enough for a houseboat, but I intended on raising it quite a bit to get more room below. So what I ended up doing was cutting off the old railing and making new bulwarks. So this is new steel plates welded on the side to make it look more like a tugboat. So I've been shaping a new nose for her, including the front part over there, and making nice round curves. And some nice heavy bollards, I think as they're called. They're about 10 millimeter thick in steel. They're old oil drilling pipes that a friend of mine had laying around. So I cut those to size. I did have to heat them up quite a bit before I could weld them, because it's this high strength steel, but I'm sure they will hold up just fine. And then to guide in the ropes and not have them cut on the edges, I use old lifting shackles that I cut off the top, and those are mild steel, and I've been welding those in to guide the ropes down. So this is the new bulwarks with stringers, or however you call them, some more bollards, and then I spent quite some time looking for these pass-throughs for ropes. I'm not sure how they're called, but I had quite some difficulty finding them. So what I ended up doing is buying 90 degree welding tubes from a shop called Sanistol here in Denmark. And I've been welding those together to make these nice shapes. And they're about 6 millimeters thick, so they're gonna last a lifetime, I think. And again, it's gonna be a houseboat. It won't be used that much for active sailing, so We got some freeing ports, so the seawater can run off, or the rainwater when it's raining. We got a hatch, and it's also gonna be a skylight. I still need to find some windows for it. But this leads into the room below that I will show you after this. But it's gonna be a small workshop area, or for washing machines and all that kinds of stuff. And that leads down into the room below. And I still need to find some cheap foam mattresses or some kind of gasket that I can glue in here, or maybe I will pour some silicone in it to make it nice and tight. What's more? Yeah, I'm gonna reuse the old doors from the steering house that I've cut off. They're mahogany and they're in really good shape, even though they're 50 years old. So this is the old door frame that I've cut out of the old steering house, and then I've re-welded in place. Then we got the roof here, and I'm trying to replicate like a horseshoe shape, a horse saddle shape. So it's curved in this way, but also in this way. So I think it's about 115 millimeters of offset from the sides to the center. And the shear of the boat, as it's called, I think, so this way, is about 40 centimeters in the midpoint when compared to here. So she curves quite a bit. These two big holes are intended, well, it's gonna have a small steering house over here, about 1 meter tall, something like that, to actually steer the boat from. And there will be a small platform welded above the hole here, maybe 1 by 1 meter, that I can stand on to steer the boat. Because I can't have a full height steering house like 2 meters tall. That would look ridiculous on such a small boat, besides being not so good for ballast or for stability. And then the big hole in the back, I still need to weld on some more plates, but that's going to be a skylight above the bedroom, because I want a lot of natural light. And it's also, that skylight is located directly above the engine room. So if in the future I need to take out the engine, I can unbolt the floor below, take that plate off, and then use a crane to lift out my engine through the roof. So I don't need to cut out the roof and re-weld it in afterwards. So we'll be able to take that off. And I might consider putting a small hydraulic crane on the back deck. So actually I'll be able to lift out the engine on its own and take off the skylight on its own and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is the front deck. It's 2.5 meters by 4 meters wide almost, the beam of the boat. So not super big, but big enough. And I will just try to show it to you from the outside. I need to climb down on another boat laying next to it. So this is how she looks like right now. She's way too high in the water because there's no ballast in the front yet. I will pour liquid concrete in the front of her to put her more downwards. So she needs to drop about maybe 75 or a meter. It should be just below the rubber fender. This is the new bulwarks that I've been welding on. And I had to take off the old rubber fenders that were on her because the steel strips holding it in place were rotting away. So my plan is to grind this all smooth and then weld on some new smaller strips to put at least the rubber D profiles in the front and in the aft section of the boat. On the sides I might weld on a steel fender, but I need to still figure that out. So yeah, that's the front. She's gonna look quite classical, I think. She has I'm trying to replicate a lot of old curves like you see on steamboats, so it has some nice radiuses, and also on the front there, and the front tips a little bit back. Now I'll just show you aft of the boat. So this is still, I need to fill in all the gaps here and on front as well. So this is the stern of the boat. I need to build up new bulwarks as well. And the plan is to have the back tilt in a little bit. I think it looks a lot better and looks a bit more like a tugboat. So it will have steel plates going into here. And then again I will weld on some new strips to put the D profiles in, the rubber D profiles, and then follow the side. The old steering house used to go onto that back wall there and onto the front, and I think it was extended twice because it was only supposed to have like a one-man crew in the front, so it was a very small little steering house. but I don't intend to reuse that. So here you can see the roof also, the curve again that I'm trying to make. Alright, I will show you inside the boat. So, going in from the front deck, we enter the boat. Right here is one of the front cargo rooms and fuel tanks that is going to be a workshop in the future. Then we are in the main room here. Let's go to the other side. So the main room, like this is all gonna be closed off in steel, and then there's gonna be a wall roughly here that closes it off. So then you get a space of about 5 by 4 meters, so 20 square meters of living space, which will have our living room and kitchen. And from that space, I plan to rebuild the old steering house, but slightly wider. And all the way up to the ceiling, of course, and that's gonna be our bedroom. I sadly couldn't reuse the existing steering house because it was in quite rough condition and not done very prettily, so I sadly had to cut that off. But so this is gonna be the main room, and what's so nice about Omala is that because she used to be an old bunker boat for transporting diesel, is that she has rather big diesel tanks below deck. So she's about 2.5 meters deep here and 4 meters wide. Well, this is only 2, but there's 2 more tanks on each side going to the front as well. So once I've cut open the fuel tanks downstairs, I have another 25 square meters of living space, besides the room in the front, of course. Then going into the old steering house, it's down here. So you used to steer from this point. I finally got the rudder to work again as well. It was rusted in place. And as you can see, so that's where the new steering location is going to be, with a small platform over there. So I'll be standing there with a steering wheel roughly there. Then we have the engine room over here, which is going to stay more or less intact. I don't plan to change anything. The engine is not working at the moment. The previous owner, or the second previous owner, kind of ruined it. It's a Perkins 6-cylinder agricultural engine, but it has good marine parts, and it is connected to a gearbox, hydraulic gearbox in the back, and then a 1.20 meter bronze propeller in the back, which is rather humongous if you ask me. It's not so much light down here. Let's see. So there's manholes going into a water tank in the side and the 2 fuel tanks on the other side. Then there's a diesel heater and the engine itself, and a big day tank of maybe like 750 liters. And then of course the sump, which I had to clean a fair bit. I don't think it had ever been cleaned before. So I took out about 900 liters of oil and water. Right now it's not full standing height, it's 1.50 meter. But when I make the new cabin on the back, I'm gonna raise the floor 0.5 meter, or a bit more. So then actually I will have full standing height in this engine room down here. And yeah, so the new cabin is gonna end back there. And then you have a nice terrace aft deck area over there. Alright, let me climb out of here. Going down from the main room, you go down a set of stairs, and then you enter the old cargo room, which used to go onto this wall until here. It was used for storing all kinds of hydraulic oils and supplies that Omala used to sell to ships at sea when it was refueling them. And this is going to be part of a small workshop in the future. So to make more space, I ended up cutting open the front fuel tank of her, which used to store, I think, diesel fuel, as it normally is on these types of boats. And the plan is to maintain this bottom section of the bulkhead more as a crash bulkhead, and fill in the void in the front with ballast. As you can see down in there, this is all part of the old fuel tank. And because right now she's without any ballast more or less, so she needs to go down about 1 meter in the front. So I will be filling this up with liquid concrete and whatever heavy stuff I can find to make it more heavy. Here you can also see that I've cut off the old deck. It was not enough standing height for me in this room, and if it had to be a workshop, it would be nice to have a bit taller ceiling. So I cut out the old deck. I've cut out the old deck with my plasma cutter, and I've raised the deck about, what is it in the back? It's about 40 centimeters, and in the front it's about, what is it, 20 centimeters. But it gives me at the moment, yeah, I can pretty much have my hands all the way up against the ceiling, which is quite nice. So the plan is to turn this into a small workshop. So once this is filled with ballast, I can make a nice workbench, and I have a small drill press and my tools and all that kind of stuff. So the way out of this boat, or this room right now, is to go up these stairs. But my plan is to make a watertight door right over there, which will lead into the other room next to it, which is at the moment still a fuel tank, but I will show you that in a little bit. So let's just climb out of here. So it was a tour of my boat, Omala, which means earth in Hindu, and I think Omala is one of the brand names of the hydraulic oil she used to transport. She was owned by Shell, a Dutch oil company, and one of their brands of oil was called Omala. So this boat was called Omala. Yeah, so this was a tour, and if you guys like it, please let me know down below, and I might consider making some more videos if you guys like that.